Good afternoon and welcome back to Bald Father Bets. We are going to give you our final thoughts on College Football Week 5. We are laying out 7 picks for you guys, 4 in the NFL and 3 in college that we've already placed for this upcoming week. And we'll do a quick recap of Monday Night Football last night. But first, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel, notifications on, like, share, comment. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on college football this previous week. Let me know what your thoughts are on some of the picks we give tonight or anything else in general that you're thinking about as it relates to football betting. So last night, 0-5, 2 units lost on the Jets, which was the pick we hated, and that was the right side. More first downs, more total yards, more passing yards, more rushing yards, but 3 turnovers to no turnovers and 101 yards in penalties for the Jets. Obviously, 2 key ones are a fumble going into the goal line that would have given the Jets a 7-3 lead early, and then an offensive pass interference that wiped away a touchdown that obviously would have given us the cover. They wouldn't have gone for 2, would have given us a push. They wouldn't have gone for 2, so it would have been a 3-point game rather than a 2-point game. But yeah, would have given us a push in that situation. It was a bullshit offensive pass interference call, but there were other penalties that weren't. Just procedural errors, lining up in the wrong spot, just sloppy play from the Jets. They played a better game, deserved to win, but just shot themselves in the foot. And then the bet that we loved, the Bengals, +8 for 3 units, was completely the wrong side. They weren't even close. Denver dominated them all day. I don't know if the Bengals have even gotten over 200 yards in any games so far. Very concerning with regards to their offense, and essentially they have no ability to run the ball. And they've built this offense around Burrow and Chase and the wide receivers and Higgins and everything, and they have no ability to pivot at this point. It's a scary scene for them. Very scary scene. So with that, we'll do a college football, like I said, recap, a little bit of thoughts on last week, and then we'll talk about a few picks that we have for this upcoming week. So starting with Friday night in college football week 5, you have Virginia and Florida State, and you have TCU and Arizona State. We'll start with TCU Arizona State, where Arizona State won by 3, but really dominated every aspect of that game. First downs, total yards. It was very one-sided to Arizona State. I think what you're starting to see with Arizona State is a little bit of an identity. Sam Levitt carrying them through. They were one busted coverage play away from getting that win at Mississippi State. We're happy they didn't because we got the cover because of it. But they're clearly one of the top teams in the Big 12 because we knew TCU was as well coming into this with Hoover at quarterback and what that passing game is doing. But ASU seems like a very balanced team. We've told you I don't think anyone is in the same category as Texas Tech. If all teams play their best, Texas Tech by far has a roster advantage on everyone. And it's going to be very difficult for anyone else to overcome. But ASU is without a doubt in the driver's seat as well to get to Dallas for the Big 12 title game. And you get to the game, if it's a 1-game sample size, anything can happen. Really like what we see out of Jordan Tyson. That guy is a difference maker. If they have him last year, they probably beat Texas and go into the semifinal, given that Texas played a down game. He's everything that they need, and he will be an NFL wide receiver. Just fantastic player. On the TCU side, they'll be fine. They're also in a team who's in the driver's seat to potentially make it to Dallas. They have some tough games, I think, especially within the state of Texas, but that win that they already have over Baylor is a big one. And they're a good team. They'll be fine. When we look at Virginia and Florida State, this was a very tough spot for Florida State. Friday night at Virginia, week before the Miami game. But there are some things here too that we said Virginia may just have the better quarterback of the game, and I don't know if that proved to be true, but it was close enough to where it was within a margin of error. So the fact that we were able to get Virginia plus the 7.5, that was key. As I'm looking moving forward, I don't think Virginia has ACC contention potential, but maybe I'm wrong there. And I think Florida State will be fine. I never thought Florida State was a national title contender. I never really thought they were an ACC contender, but I'm actually, with how bad Clemson is, they are, absolutely. I mean, they're in the same category as Miami and Georgia Tech as frontrunners to win the ACC. Will be a great game at Doak Saturday night. I think line's at 4.5 right now. Miami favored by 4.5. That's not one of the picks that we have for you today, but obviously we're monitoring that. If you make Castellanos beat you by throwing the ball more than 30, 35, 40 times a game, it's going to be difficult for him to do so. That's not how that offense is built. That's not how a Gus Malzahn offense is built, regardless of who the quarterback is. That's not what they want to do. So we aren't necessarily concerned about Florida State. This didn't tell us anything that we didn't already know about them. But the formula as to how to beat Florida State was confirmed in this game. It was definitely confirmed. Then into Saturday morning or noon kickoff games. Notre Dame body bagged Sam Pittman officially. They got him fired. Sad. Sam Pittman seems like a really nice guy. That game was over. Arkansas never got off the bus. And so Pittman was fired, I think, just due to the performance. I mean, Arkansas should have been live in that game. Notre Dame does not have a good defense. And with the Taylon Green offense and all that stuff, Arkansas should have been live. But the defense especially didn't even show up. Pretty much the entire SEC right now is at least at minimum playing decent defense, except for Arkansas. Arkansas is playing horrendous defense. And you have a bunch of teams, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, LSU, Alabama, who are playing like phenomenal defense. But at minimum, the whole rest of the conference is playing decent, except for Arkansas. It's so bad. It's so bad what they're doing on the defensive side. So it was time. He had to get fired. On the Notre Dame side, this didn't show me anything. Arkansas never showed up to the game, so they body bagged him and officially got Sam Pittman fired. So we'll continue to monitor Notre Dame. That is one of the picks we're giving you this week. Whether or not they can make the playoff, you're still getting plus money, I think, right now on a yes ticket to make the playoff for Notre Dame. It may be worth it at this point. I don't view Notre Dame in the same light of 10-2 as I would of Penn State. We're going to get to Penn State, but people are talking about, Penn State goes 10-2, they may not make it in. If Penn State goes 10-2, they're making the playoff, guys. Like, they're a Big Ten team. They're going to make the playoff. If Notre Dame goes 10-2 with their current schedule, I don't know. It depends on what the other teams do. Depends on how many 9-3 versus 10-2 teams we have. They're also in conferences that are in the bracket. USC, Illinois. So I'm of two minds on this one. On one hand, we can't be saying, hey, we knew this was a difficult spot for USC, 9 a.m. kickoff at Illinois. Illinois is a physical team coming off of an embarrassing loss. They were always going to bring it. And then on the other hand, being like, I can't believe that USC performance. They looked terrible. They're not going to beat anyone. It's like, hey, guys, well, which one is it? Okay. I am a little bit concerned with what I saw as a lack of running game from USC. What happened to them with Illinois being able to line up and run didn't really concern me. The USC, had they had what we thought their running game was coming into that game, what we talked about in our preview on our Saturday Picks video, USC still wins that game by 10 points. But they had fumbles in the running game. They had a lack of push in the running game, and that's not when Lincoln Riley's offense is functioning at its highest point. So that's really the only concern I have with USC there. Illinois I still don't really think is all that great of a team. I think they were just able to score on this USC defense because the matchup favored them. But had USC had a running game that was consistent and could give push, then you would have seen USC pull away a little bit in that game. So their inability to do that is a concern, without a doubt. We'll continue to monitor them. They have some bangers coming up with Michigan, Notre Dame. I forget when they traveled back out. I forget what their next East Coast travel Big Ten game is, but they have some really good ones upcoming. And then obviously I think they have a game with Oregon at the end of the year. So yeah, we need to watch them on the run game because that's what takes that team offensively to the next tier. And in order for USC, while I do think they're improved on defense, it's pretty obvious they're improved. For USC to be in playoff contention, the way they are, that is they're in the top 2 offenses in the country. And without the run game executing the way it needs to, they're not in the top 2 offenses in the country. So then we go into the afternoon window. Indiana, Illinois, I don't want to spend too much, Indiana, Iowa, I don't want to spend too much time on it. We told you the game was going to get mucky. It doesn't make me think anything less of Indiana. It doesn't make me think anything different of Iowa, honestly. Indiana's still going to body bag a lot of teams. They're still going to score 60 against a lot of teams. That game, Iowa just kind of does that. That's just the type of game Iowa plays. The fact that Indiana was able to play that game and win that game, playing it the exact style Iowa wanted to play, honestly, to me is a positive for Indiana. I don't take anything away from them. I think they're still a solid team. Ohio State, Washington, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Ohio State is in a tier of very few teams that can talk about potentially having the best defense in the country, and they're probably the only one that right now could make a claim to potentially be in a GOAT caliber conversation when it comes to defense. That doesn't mean by the next week there isn't another one who enters, or the week after, but right now, if you're able to go on the road and hold that Washington offense to 6 points, and you're going to see Williams, you're going to see that Washington offense make several other teams look silly this year. If you're able to do that, that's significant. It's very significant, and they're a good team. We liked either Ohio State or Texas to win the national title preseason, and we haven't come off of that. What this does is this gives Sayan time to continue to develop, and what he lacks right now, maybe in terms of a few things with regards to deep ball accuracy, getting through multiple progressions rather than just being first read, it doesn't matter as long as the defense plays like that, because he doesn't have to take risks, and they're going to win pretty much every game they play. Definitely enough to get into the playoff or get to Indy. Ole Miss LSU, that game wasn't near as close as the score indicated. Ole Miss dominated that game. We told you guys coming into it we were really concerned about LSU's offense, their inability to run the ball. Blake Baker has been the magic man for that team up until now. In my opinion, he's the Broyles Award winner. I think he's been the best coordinator in the country. Just given what he has, what the turnaround was compared to last year, all that stuff, pretty much single-handedly winning the Clemson and the Florida game. But LSU has problems at offensive line, and they have problems with the run game. And if Nuss isn't healthy, and he clearly isn't healthy, then that's another thing detracting from them. So LSU we're concerned about long term. We're definitely concerned about them long term. It's going to be hard for them to really, I think, make make any significant steps forward, because it doesn't sound like this injury is something that Nuss is getting over. I think it's going to nag him the whole year, and I don't see some immediate fix coming in for the run game and offensive line in terms of run blocking. It was an issue last year. It's an issue this year. Honestly, they have even a less experienced offensive line, and they're struggling now with injuries at running back. So we're concerned about that. Ole Miss, I don't want to. I'm not going to make those comments about LSU and then be like, oh well, Ole Miss solved their defensive issues. I don't. That isn't apples to apples in that situation. So we're still, jury's out still on Ole Miss on the defensive side. We still have to watch for that and see what happens. There's one other big 3:30 game. Hold on. Auburn. Auburn and Texas A&M. We got all sorts of concerns offensively for Auburn, obviously. Looks like another team in which Jackson Arnold will quarterback that has a championship caliber defense that is wasted on an offense. We have concerns with Hugh Freeze. We have concerns about the program. We were lucky to get a cover due to a defensive almost touchdown, 2-yard line, then score. God. But we like what we saw defensively out of A&M, and we like what we saw defensively out of Auburn, obviously. When you have those defenses, you're always going to be able to at least stay within a game. There's certain things about Marcel Reed that's still concerning, especially when it comes to some deep ball accuracy stuff, second, third progressions. A lot of things that he did really well against Notre Dame that Auburn clearly gave him fits with, and that'll be interesting to see as we move further into SEC play, how he does against what would appear to be quite a good slate of defensive teams that he's about to play. So slight concern there. In the later afternoon window, Mississippi State and Tennessee, it's impossible to not be impressed with Mississippi State. They should have won the game. They didn't. That's something that Tennessee, they were able to get a win, and good teams are always able to win when they're not at their best. Tennessee defensively, though, concern. That's 2 weeks in a row where they've given up a lot. But they've shown with that offense and Heupel system, they're going to be able to score. So I think there's going to be a lot of their games where they're in shootouts, and ultimately it comes down to, are they able to make that last push like they were against Mississippi State, not able to against Georgia. And then our two bangers. So I'll start with Alabama and Georgia. Alabama, I would have power rated right now as the number one team in the country. They showed quite a bit against Georgia. They've shown quite a bit actually since the Florida State game. Ty Simpson was extremely impressive. Ryan Grubb was extremely impressive, very creative on the offensive side. Defensively, they looked very sound. They were gap scheme. Whatever they had going against Florida State, they haven't shown it one time since then, in terms of just being off defensively in gaps. Maybe that Florida State game was what they needed. I have no idea. But Alabama is the most talented team in the country. When you put together both team talent composite combined with how many players are actually playing right now that will play in the NFL next year, be starters on NFL teams or be within the two deep, and they're the most talented team in the country, and they flexed to do what they did in Athens in that environment, 33 home game winning streak, all the things to overcome a lot of the issues they've had on the road, for the offensive line to look that sound to not give up penalties, anything like that. It was very impressive, and I think they're the best team in the country. Georgia will be fine. I don't know if this is a championship caliber team that Georgia has. I don't know if Stockton can get them there with this offense. It's funny, a year ago, these two teams aren't even in the same caliber, so don't put that on me. But a year ago, OU gets rid of Dylan Gabriel to go with Jackson Arnold, and obviously it's not a good decision, terrible decision. I wonder what Georgia would look like with Carson Beck right now a little bit, honestly, now that they have those wide receivers that they do. I wonder what they would look like. I didn't think Hunter Stockton was the problem, but I also didn't think he unlocked like some next level of that offense. Just curious what they would look like. Then Penn State and Oregon. I feel like so many people have been focusing on everything Penn State did wrong. It takes away from what Oregon did in terms of the aggression that they had, the going for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, how good they were at converting those, how much easier it looked for Oregon to move the ball down the field than it did in Penn State. So I want to start there. They, from a game plan standpoint, were superior. From a coaching standpoint, they were superior. Dante Moore played really well. DeCorian Moore played really well. They were sound with the ball. They were sound in fundamentals. Yeah, they were good. They were very good. From a Penn State standpoint, though, that's a really, really tough loss, because I almost wonder if they have a better chance to win the Ohio State game than they did this one, because when they have the home whiteout and like they're going for a win that the fans are kind of like on their edge, like I don't know, maybe we can get this, maybe we can't. This was different. This was like a home whiteout, and since last season everyone's been like, we will win this game, we have to win this game. Everything felt tense. Like everything about them felt tense. And when they finally opened it up, when they finally relaxed a little bit, then it started to kind of click for them. I just questioned some how much of like the whole first half, the third quarter, like there wasn't really too much creativity in the play calling. They didn't run Aller near enough. Everything was just very, you could even feel it in the fans. They weren't like, it wasn't like, the environment was loud, it was ruckus, it was all that stuff, but it wasn't like sheer passion. It was sheer, oh my God, we have to win this one. And then we can breathe a sigh of relief after we do. And that's a difficult spot to be in for a team that hasn't done it, that hasn't won it, like something like that. As a Texas grad, Texas has been in a lot of games like that of recent, where it's like the game where Texas played TCU at home when TCU went to the national championship, and game day was there, and everyone on game day picked Texas, and McAfee was like, Texas by 10 to 15, and it was like, okay, Texas finally has a big home night game. They haven't had one in so long because they haven't been good, but they didn't play loose. They didn't play like the aggressor. They played not to lose. They played tense because they weren't ready for that moment. And I don't think Penn State, as senior laden as the team was, as everything, they weren't ready for the amount of pressure that came with what happened Saturday night. They just weren't. I don't really think it has much to do with Franklin. I mean, maybe he had Kotelnicki bottled. for too long before he let him say, okay, turn it loose. I think it did have a lot to do with Kotelnicki. Some of those plays, he was too cute early on. He was too cute trying to set up different things rather than just like, hey man, it's 3rd and 2. Like you saw when they started running Aller, not only were they pushing it forward with Aller running, then they were able to get the end arounds off of it where the defender thought Aller was keeping it. The end around then went for big gains. You have to play that game as the aggressor. And Oregon was the aggressor, and Penn State was not. I don't necessarily know if it... My thoughts on... I told you guys this, I rarely get a game that wrong, and I got that one so wrong. My thoughts on Penn State's ability to play vice grip to play a 2023 Michigan style game, where they just boa constrictor you. Those thoughts have been diminished. They don't have that ability. They're not big enough on the offensive line of scrimmage really to do it. But I don't necessarily think my thoughts on what this Penn State team can accomplish have changed. I didn't think they were going to win the national championship preseason. I said that. But I had them preseason ranked 1, as at the beginning of the season I thought they'd be the best team. I thought they'd win the Big Ten. I still think they could win the Big Ten. But most likely in order to get a shot, they're going to have to go into Columbus and win. There's almost a sense of feeling if like, now nobody's going to give them a chance, right? There's not, I can't imagine a single, after watching what they did against Oregon, I can't imagine a single human being who will pick Penn State to win that game. Like I told you, from a betting standpoint, I can almost guarantee you we're going to be on Penn State because they're going to juice you're going to pay a premium to bet against Franklin in big games. Like that's just the point that it's at now, especially in that one. And like I said, I almost wonder if that works in their favor to this one. It's where they can play loose. Like they don't have to play so tense. Now, if there is something in the psyche and the mindset of the way Franklin prepares the team for these games, and they're tense because like he makes it such a big deal to them, then that's not going to help. If he's going to be like, if it's like, this is our shot, guys, we can get in the playoff here, we have to win this game to get in the play, and then they don't approach the game as loose underdog, we have nothing to lose, then it won't matter, and they'll look the same, and they'll get beat in a close game again. But they have an opportunity, I think, to kind of push this one in their favor. We'll see what they do. Yeah, that's it for final thoughts. Much smaller slate this week in college football. A little bit of a breather. Then we get into October. It's gonna be a wild October. Yeah, guys, that was only September. It's wild. It's only been 1 month. It feels like we've already played a whole season. But we haven't, and that's something to remind yourself of. These teams that you think are ass maybe aren't, and these teams that you think are the greatest thing that's ever existed, like Oregon, maybe aren't. And you need to allow for that type of thinking, especially when you're betting on lines. Psychology tells you that most people bet on the team that they're going to win, they think is going to win regardless of the line. And that's why sports books make so much money off of you guys. Because that's not how football works. Okay, we're going to get a few of our picks in. We have 7. Starting off Thursday Night Football, we have the 49ers +7 for 5 units. We could have gotten this at Rams -3. And I passed it up. And I passed it up thinking, yeah, I like Rams +3, but I would like the 49ers like +4.5 more. Well, then all of a sudden we got 49ers +7. don't get me wrong, 49ers are battered, beaten, bruised, but they still have some pieces, and this is a coaching matchup. Shanahan has owned McVay. McVay's gotten over it a few times now, but historically Shanahan has owned McVay, and this is one of the tightest divisional matchups that there is. +7, honestly, even if Mac Jones was playing, and he's not, Brock Purdy's playing, is a wild number for this divisional matchup. So we're taking the 49ers. We're doing it for +7. We're taking it +7. We're doing it for 5 units. I love it. Obviously, it's a 5-unit play. I love it. Saturday. I think we've already given you guys Cincinnati +2. So we're not giving you 7 picks. We're giving you 6. I forgot I already gave you guys that one. Anyway, we're adding 2 more. Both of them are in the afternoon window. We're taking Boise State plus the 21 against Notre Dame. We're doing that one for 2 units. Boise State, quietly, after getting trounced by USF, has had a very good passing offense. We still fade Notre Dame's pass defense. Notre Dame will run a very different system than what USF did against Boise State. And there's some trust in the Boise State coaching staff to be up and keep this one close. I will let you guys know, based on what I see, I wanted to get this one in at +21 while I had it. Based on what I see in terms of line movement or lack thereof, it is the first candidate of the year for by game day for us to come in over the top on Notre Dame. I need to see what happens with the line, but I didn't want to lose Boise State +21. So we put in Boise State +21. We did that for 2 units. If we need to make it, we will, if you guys have cash out options and you can do it without losing money, then we would tell you to cash it out. For our record keeping purposes, we would leave the Boise State play in for 2 units and then add like whatever our Notre Dame play is for 4 units, something like that. It's the first candidate of the year that we would potentially do that on. I don't foresee it, but I'm going to keep watching some of the stuff with regards to that line. And then we have Texas -6 for 2 units. It will be interesting to see if Florida is able to have any sustained offense. If they don't, as good as Florida's defense is, I don't think they're really going to score. And I think Texas will muster enough to get 14 points, 20 points. And that'll be enough to cover 6, because they'll hold Florida to single digits if they can't muster any sustainable offense. People are talking about Wilson, the freshman wide receiver, making his debut, stuff like that. I'll believe it with this Florida offense when I see it. I'm concerned with that Lagway is not healthy, because Lagway isn't even attempting downfield passes, and that was like what made him so good last year, is he was one of the best accurate deep ball throwers there was, and right now he just isn't doing it. And I think that's because he doesn't have the legs. It's what the walking boot, everything, he doesn't have the legs to be able to do it. And if he doesn't have the legs to be able to attempt downfield passes, this Florida offense is then a shell of itself. And you do not want an offense that is a shell of itself when you're going up against Texas's defense. They're in that same discussion of potentially the very few which could compete as the best defense in college football this year. So we like Texas -6 there. In the NFL, in the league, oh man, we're only on 5. We already gave you guys Patriots +9, didn't we, for Sunday Night Football at 5 units. Love that one. We are also laying the Saints -1 for 2 units, fading Jackson Dart on his second start, and fading Jackson Dart without Malik Neighbors, and going with the Saints team that did show us some stuff against the Bills this past week, finally. And with Kelly Moe, like that's their he's a first-year head coach. Like they're not going to give up this year. They're going to try and build towards things. So yeah, they're not going to playoffs this year, but they're going to try and build. And Spencer Rattler wants to show that he can be a quarterback, serviceable, whether it's here or whether it's another team. And then we're going to lay 7 with the Cardinals. We're not laying 7 with the Cardinals as much as we're fading the Titans. I'm rarely a trends guy. This one's getting ridiculous. The Titans are 3-17 ATS under Dave Canales. Yeah, we're not betting on them anymore. So we're laying 7 with the Cardinals for 2 units. That's it. Let me know what your guys' thoughts were on college football. Appreciate you. Sorry for the length of this video, but thought there was a lot to cover this week. It's a pretty pivotal week. We end September, heading into October. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of conclusions that are starting to be drawn, and we need to pump the brakes on a lot of them. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts were on college football. Let me know what your thoughts are on the rest of the season. Appreciate you guys very much. Like, share, comment. Give the video some love. But stay safe out there. We will be at you again tomorrow with our NFL Final Thoughts video.